Doug was a Twitter saying a whole lot of sorrowful.
There we go. All right, so that works way better.
What was the
16.
16?
Oh, after you could have happened slower, but you wanted her to.
Was he?
See, oh, you know what? Okay, so that is almost 100%. Like we're at 96% of the recurring theme on our show. Actually, it's 92%. There's only been 4 of us so far that have said no, I didn't. It wasn't. I couldn't say that I could get it earlier. But even like Snap Congers, he's 63. He's told me the story. Levon Wolf said the same thing. Like Al.
The bicentennial.
Did you get to choose?
Yes.
Hold on, we got to get started with this.
I was pissed later because I didn't go to Cheryl.
Yeah, okay, so.
Oh.
All right, listen, I don't.
Pirate talk.
That's all fine. That's all. That's well. All right, so. Oh wait, one more thing. We're gonna go to live on Facebook. Is that mic working with the red on or no?
It's on with the mic red.
If Tom says it's working, right?
Yeah, I have.
So.
I didn't get my nap today, so
Oh,
you're eating.
Yeah.
They're wonderful. No kidding.
All right, everybody.
Sheryl Ugalde.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Good Times Hour, and this is the first time that we're going to go live over the next couple of weeks. And I'm here in Mebane, North Carolina. We're about to participate in the Pioneer Women of Disc Golf. And here we have 4 of the ladies. Would you all please each introduce yourselves?
Your lowest number.
Susie Horn, number 68.
Michele Marini, number 303.
Sheryl Newland, number 76.
Tita Ugalde, number 83.
And I'm Brian Mace Man, and we're here in the dressing room, right backstage of the area where they're going to take, where the meeting for the United States Women's Disc Golf Championship is going to take place this evening. These ladies are autographing some frisbees that are going to be given away at the Pioneer Women of Disc Golf event that's going to take place in about an hour. And I thought this would be the best way to get them to tell us a couple of stories. And it knocks out 4 of the 5 of them that are going to be here. So we're just going to let this roll, and you guys are going to get it live on Facebook, and then we'll archive it later on our YouTube channel. But ladies, thank you for having us, and let's hear some stories. Go ahead and continue to sign your autographs and tell stories. And like, Susie, why don't you go ahead and tell that Chris Brophy story?
Oh, it was a wintertime open, and we were packing it all up, and the wind was blowing so hard, and all the disc golfers were heading home, and we were breaking down this pop-up, and the wind, I mean, it was a big pop-up, metal, and the wind took it and threw it against the backstop, and Chris Brophy's so quick said, "Is there anybody underneath there?" I mean, so I mean, they would have been barbecued. I mean, stuck on it, but there wasn't, thank goodness. Anyway, that's my wintertime open story of Chris Brophy.
Well, so we've done it. There's a lot of stories that are a lot of events that we hadn't really talked about. Like I haven't really gotten to interview anybody that really gave me a lot of information about the Rose Bowl event or the other Whammo 50K event. And then like Michele, you talked about the first event of Jim Palmieri's 50.
Okay, so this is how I got started. In 1974, Jim Palmieri had already started the Rochester Frisbee Club, and he wanted to make a premier disc golf event to draw in people. Now he's realizing there's people from all around the country. So he offered a car, a Datsun
B10.
B10. Thank you.
B10, right on.
Right. So the events were disc golf, well, frisbee golf. Let's go back to what it was called, frisbee golf, and double disc court, variation of the current double disc court. So the stakes go up. It's hosted at St. John Fisher College in Rochester, New York. My husband went to that college. My husband worked on the east side of the town at Oak Hill Country Club as a grounds crew. He finds out about this tournament. He says, I'm gonna go. Well, I'm gonna kick some butt. And he goes and sees all these other people coming from New York City, the Florida area. Michigan was a hotbed of players. And here comes, Rutgers, right? Sort of originally went to Rutgers. So
Jersey.
it is the inaugural American Flying Disc Open in 1974. My husband was there. So I'm dating him. I visited the site. It rained on the Saturday afternoon. I left. And so that was my first being in, in the audience. And then now fast forward into 1975, Jim Palmieri still has the contact information for Dave and I. And he calls and he says, hey, let's go to, so in 75, we went to the IFT, the International Frisbee Tournament hosted up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. It was a guts tournament. So off they go, Jim Palmieri, John, his brother, my husband, Dave, Doug Correa, and another guy named Woody Michael are on a guts team now competing with these gentlemen who have already been playing how many years at the IFT.
Right.
So again, at that tournament, I see Monica Liu for the very first time doing a distance demonstration. And then of course, there's the little amateur, have your go at it. So I picked up a Frisbee, try to throw distance and realize, oh no, it's not gonna happen. So that was my first in attendance.
What were you throwing?
Oh, probably 119s.
Really?
I would think, or pros.
I was thinking pros.
I think pros, because pros
Yeah.
was the guts.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The guts,
The guts.
so then that was July 4th, 1975. Then I think we all went to the Toronto tournament. Jim hosted the second annual in 75 of the AFDO, and I probably did just participate in one or two of the events, and I don't know what his premier events were. Golf, definitely one of them. And that was my start in late 1975. And then because he was a teacher, we had access to a gymnasium, and he wanted to take us indoors. And so now Doug Correa and Dave Marini, my husband, still boyfriend, start freestyle. And that's where they got their love of freestyle, being able to go indoors over the winter and now fine tune their sport.
And a side note, Dave Marini started the Freestyle Players Association.
Players Association. In 1978, in our little apartment, I typed, you have the mailing list, you have the hand tell, everything mimeographed and stamped in 1978. So a story for another time.
Yeah, well, and so folks, just to clarify too, what we're doing today is like giving them each an opportunity, or the group as a whole, just tell some stories. But we're also going to have each one of these ladies back for their own show individually next spring or summer.
Wow.
Oh, nice. That's amazing.
Frisbee World Magazine, everybody, there is Michele Marini. And by the way, she still does that well today.
Yeah.
No, the arm here. So 1976 World Championships. That is a fastback model they would have used for just MTA and TRC.
There's the profile. It's similar to the Sonic profile of Innova, of the Innova line, and then obviously some Hero discs as well.
And we have this one. This is one of the ones we're signing. Joe K House.
I have a arrow disc.
So arrows
Are your hands clean?
No, are you kidding?
Yeah, I usually wash my hands at least.
Okay, so this was my first.
This is an Aero Creamy.
That was our store, magazine store at Oak Grove.
Nice.
We're just getting some. All right, so here, let's go back to
And
19.
and in what?
Grove guy, the tall guy.
Tami Pellicane is our other your lady who just walked in.
Oh, sweet.
Floor. Floor.
He's still.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you want to jump in and introduce yourself.
Yep, jump in. Hi.
Welcome.
I'm Michele Pellicane. Thank you.
You bet. Nice to meet you. Brian Mays. So
Brian.
well, basically all y'all, you have some autographs to sign.
Yeah.
And we just decided to do this as a freestyle. So basically we're streaming live on Facebook right now, and then I'm going to record it and archive it on our YouTube channel. But we're all telling stories. Cheryl, you just told, you told me,
Payne Newland from Seattle.
and you told your story about choosing 76 as opposed to,
I took 76 is my number. I could have had a lower number. But back then, we didn't foresee this, you know. So we kind of, like, my husband chose 16 because he liked sweet 16.
sure,
Well, it was 1976 was the bicentennial year for the
right.
country. So I said, I want 76. And later it turned out the first 75 people got a t-shirt, so I didn't. So I complained to Ed Hedrick. I said, you didn't tell me that, or I would have picked a lower number, and I think you owe me a t-shirt. So I think he sent me one.
Well, so that's one of the things, this is, like I said earlier, this is a recurring theme on the show. Almost everybody, like I got my PDGA number to go play Emeralds in '94.
Oh, okay.
Everybody had a reason, but typically there's so many people, oh, well, if I'd have got it with my friends, or if I'd have got it with, like your
Right.
story is a little different than everybody's, but like I said, over 90% of the people have a story that's how, hey, if I had done it when so-and-so said to, or like LeVon said, if I'd had the money when Tom Monroe was pushing me to do it, we both would have been in the teens, but Tom's 33 and LeVon's like 586. But then Snap Congress says to me this summer, he goes, Ed wouldn't float me the $10. So I could have been like the one-digit number, but I'm 63. And I was like, there's just, everybody has that. That's the common thread, a recurring theme. It just keeps on happening.
He attended the Craigmere was the name of the location of the disc golf pole hole event in 1977. And we had just come back over the weekend, Memorial Day weekend was the octave. And so this is now the East Coast. They put it on the Monday, Memorial Day. So we had to register to be a PDGA number before we could enter that disc golf tournament, Frisbee tournament that was just golf. And so in the registration line, Dave's first 302, he pays for me, I'm 303. Doug Korea's behind us at 304. And so it was just the registration line. And so there's a lot of people from that East Coast tournament that are in the upper 200s to the say 250 to 350 because of that tournament.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that's real common too. Like I've talked to several friends and I'm like, wow, you guys were the same. What event were you at when you got your number? And they're like, how did you know? And I'm like, well, obviously, like you paid your entry fee and then you also paid your numbers.
In California, probably where it was. But I was gonna tell you a story.
Yeah,
I haven't told this story yet, to Scott or to Jen, but in February of 1982, Doug and I got married in Seattle, and we went on our honeymoon to Ed Hedrick's house in Lakeport. Okay, as one of the things we did. And so we got to go to his factory where he's making disc pole holes, and there was, midnight flyers, and I got to hang with the guy that worked in the warehouse all day. And Doug and Ed went and put in the Lakeport course. And while they were doing
On your honeymoon,
on our
you
honeymoon,
guys were installing disc golf course.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
and Doug did, I didn't. And he got in Poison Oak.
Oh.
And so we were having a shower together that night, and I noticed a little blister on his chest, and I went with my fingernail and I popped it. I go,
Oh.
"What's blister?" Well, it was poison oak, and then in the hot water, it spread all over his body, and he was one giant scab on our honeymoon.
And you didn't get it?
No, I didn't.
See, I was thinking that it might have jumped to you as well in that situation.
But I said, if you get it, where, I'm getting an annulment.
Oh.
And it never got there.
Well, at least y'all had that working for you.
Pretty funny.
$1,000 disc.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
You took the story of the women.
Oh, okay, so this is the disc for, well, one of the discs. Okay, so in 1979, what month was it? Do you remember? Is it May?
I think it was March.
March?
Even earlier spring.
Really? Okay, well, it's gonna be this big Whammo funded $50,000 golf tournament.
Right?
So we all went. Or, well, first, when I found out about it, they didn't have a women's division. So I wrote a letter to Whammo higher ups, and
Nice.
I asked for a women's division, and they sent me a you know, not so nice answer back. No, we don't think it's any advantage to being a man in this sport. We're not gonna have one. So I didn't just accept that. I said, well, hell no, I'm calling Ed Hedrick. So, you know, this is back in the day.
Was Ed working for them at the time, or that was?
Oh, he's
after?
been working for them.
So, yeah, so I didn't know if he was still with them, or if that was after the fact.
Because it's Whammo sponsored.
Well, do you know these lines on here?
The fly rings?
They're called lines of Hedrick
Really?
because Ed developed them.
Interesting.
So anyway,
Okay.
so I called Ed up and because he was running it and I said, dude, we need a women's division and Whammo doesn't want to do it. And you need to have women at this tournament. And he agreed with me. So he had a women's division, invited a bunch of us, and he even paid my way, my airfare.
Wow.
And Whammo paid our $100 entry fee. We didn't have to pay.
That's great.
But the downside is none of us earned a penny at the tournament. We didn't get any prize money.
No prize money.
Second place, but I didn't get a penny.
Yeah.
But
The privilege of saying.
just the privilege of saying we were there. So it was a great tournament. It was a real fun course. I loved it. It was really fun. So
Where did that take place at?
It was Southern California because I visited my friend in Anaheim after, so I was able to go, and even though I did poorly, I finished sixth. We had a great vacation. So
I'm guessing Huntington Beach, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
yeah.
I'm not sure.
So was that?
Oh, here, let's see if it's on. There's the invite.
Oh.
Nice.
Let me see. Does it?
Yeah,
I guess it's Huntington Beach.
Oh, okay. You were right.
Nice.
Yeah.
So how many people were at that event?
There was It was an incredible final because the top two got TK and who was second?
George, was it George?
Or who was second place? Is it right here? Yeah. That's women.
Sorry, guys.
It might have been.
This is all freestyle, so don't sweat it. Don't.
Who got second at 50,000 in the men?
In the men's event.
Who tied for first with TK?
Wasn't it?
Was it Scott?
No.
Connolly.
John Connolly.
John Connolly. So they tied and they had to do two of the hardest holes on the course to break the tie when TK won. It was amazing. Yeah, it was really a neat finish. But that was a great tournament.
Mine, so a memory with you, Michelle, is that. Oh,
Let's get you in the picture, Tita.
all right. A memory of Michelle is after 50,000, you were trying to figure out how much time it would take to get to the airport, but you guys were going to eat. It was Jim Herrick. It was JCL. So I think.
Okay, so from the East Coast.
Yes, you're.
Yep.
And it was your first time out. And so you didn't know where to eat. And I recommended a Mexican restaurant. You guys hadn't had that kind of food before. So I had to say, oh, yeah, this, and you had the courage to try something new.
Thank you for remembering that, because I don't, but I love Mexican food now, and there's a reason.
Well, one hole on the course that was memorable for me because it was a short to the, I mean, if as the crow flies, the pull hole wasn't very far away, but it was behind a huge stand of those tall, skinny trees that you couldn't go through. And so all these guys are powering everything they've got to get it up over the trees to come down. And I remember Doug hitting the chains, but we couldn't see. So we don't know if it went in or not, and then I, being not even 5 feet tall, I wasn't going to throw that far, obviously. What was I going to do? And I ended up doing an upside down sliding shot underneath the whole trees. And I got right to the pin.
Upside down backhand or two finger?
2 finger. So,
Okay.
and I just laid it right up at the
But in ultimate, did they call it a Scooby?
I don't know.
It's an upside down.
Okay, yes.
But
I was the only one who did that. I know.
So it just occurred to me, why don't each of you introduce yourselves again, just real quickly, so that they know who's talking, but also where were you from then and where do you live now? So that, like where when you were really active, like where were y'all living? Because I know that like you guys cover a fair, like
All
y'all
over the
do.
country.
Yeah, so go ahead, each one of you.
Michele Marini from Rochester, New York. And that's where I started back in 1975, 76. We moved to Atlanta during the 90s, having been married, having now raising kids. So I had a big gap year of not playing, but we now live in the next town over, Hillsborough, North Carolina.
Oh,
So
nice. So you're right close to here.
Carolina since 2000. So this, when I found out about this tournament in my backyard, and it's a premier tournament, I did everything I could to qualify and had to, play
Nice.
tournaments last year, keep my PDGA membership up, but have been meeting so many wonderful people and making wonderful memories now to be their friends again. So, that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have black.
Hi, no worries. I'm Tami Pellicane. I started playing back in 77, 78 in Miami, Florida. Went on to help start a women's ultimate team in the early 80s at the University of Florida in North Florida. When I graduated from college, I moved to Cincinnati and helped try and get some women's events going there. Then I went from there to a place called Lubbock, Texas in West Texas.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Okay, got the first disc golf course in there, ran the first PDGA tournaments there.
Was that at McKinsey Park?
Yes.
I love that
Yes.
place. Oh,
Yep.
yeah, I've had so many good times in Lubbock, so many good times.
That's.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely,
exciting.
absolutely.
So there's a lot of people who helped on that journey. And in the interim, that's when I did a couple international trips to Japan and Taiwan and stuff in that area to try and help promote the sport. And then I moved back to Dallas. So I live in Dallas actually now. Played there in the early 80s and then got some feedback because I was really trying to help build up women's disc golf sport. That's when I was on WIFDIF on the board. And from then I pretty much transitioned fully into work and raising a family. And then Tita stopped by about a couple months ago. And said, hey, Tami. I may join the panel that we're doing. And I went, oh, this is absolutely incredible. Had one of the best days in the last 10 years playing golf practicing with Tita Ugalde and Susie. Yesterday was just, I'm like, oh my gosh, I missed this. Such fun and great people. And so now I'm back playing.
Well, that's great. And it doesn't take much to shake you back out of it and back into it, I guess is a better way of putting it. And it's like, I'm staying here with my friends, Jerry and Marie Gotcher, and they live over in Troy. And Jerry was the one that got me into disc golf in the early 90s. And he's actually retired recently and they go, oh, they actually came out and what's the new one here? They and I, yeah, the regulator. So they went out and knocked off the cobwebs and played the front nine of that the other day. And he came back talking, when I got in last night, he goes, you won't believe it. It's just told me about the way that he goes, I can't believe all the work that they've done in the clear cutting and getting everything, taking care of in the underbrush and stuff like that. And so, you're in a good spot out here, y'all, without it out.
When we were playing last 2 days, the park and rec people were out there both days. There is such a collaboration and partnership with the park and rec department.
Right.
They've done an amazing job in supporting this tournament and communicating with it.
Yeah, well, then that, the Cedar Rock, the Cedar Rock and Wellspring, those courses have been there for a long, long time. And that's a historic farm. And so that's kind of like a living museum there. And when Jerry and Marie first moved here in 96, that was one of the first places we went and played back then. And it's just the test of time, the big course and the little course there. And then now you got a monster from what I understand too. So that's really neat. Susie, tell a little bit about yourself.
I started off in Missouri, but I ended up in Altadena, California, where I met my husband, Mark Horn, and we were volleyball players. And this guy said, I have a great sport for you guys. He took us out to Oak Grove, and the rest is history. And we just caught it. And we became members of the PDGA in 1976 in the first week, and said,
Wow.
I'm going to start a professional disc golf. And I says, well, I don't want to join. I don't want to be a part of it. But you got 2 discs. You got a 119 and a 141 lifetime membership. You guys got lifetime for $20. And I said,
Hey, everything.
Well, we still have to pay.
You took- Coming back to bite you again.
We're still there. We're still in Altadena. We run the senior games every year. We
And
handed over the Wintertime Open after 40 years. And Steve Rico and his brother Bomba
awesome.
winning it now for Legacy Dip. They're doing a great job, and we inherited the senior games from Suzette Simon. From Innova, they wanted us to do them.
So you're, you ran that, y'all ran that every year for 40 years?
Yeah.
That's amazing. I've got 22 with the Zebos Open and I missed the first year of COVID because of the shutdown happened in the spring. And then like 2 weeks before the event, they were like, oh, you can go back and run events. And I was just like, I'm not ready for this. I mean, I've got enough in the can from all the events that I've run over the years and I could have not easily pulled it together. But I was just like, you know what, I'm not gonna do this and then I'm not gonna stuff it into the schedule later and step on somebody else's event. So we skipped a year, but that's amazing that you did it 40 years in a row and that you were, because life gets in the way, you know, I mean.
Well, I tell people I probably have to manage.
Well, I think we're gonna get to another winter time. We're gonna see what happens. That's amazing. That's a great story. Tell your
Okay, Tita.
Lucky kid that was able to go to watch, to be a spectator at the 1975 Rose Bowl. And there I am watching, affirmation.
Yeah.
That was watching Joe K. Howe on the field. And I looked down there and she was graceful, elegant, dazzling smile. And I think I'll ever be like her, as good as her. And he said, I don't think so.
Oh my goodness. Was it your big brother?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna get you.
So that was in like August of 75, and that fall, thanks to the many from Miami, they had the IFA International Frisbee Association, and they started the Los Angeles Frisbee Club at the world's first permanent disc golf course, Oak Grove. And I attended, and I won my first tournament, sudden death, and I met Dan Roddick, Joe K. Howe, I met after that, at that time, and so then 76 came really soon, and Ed Hedrick would be playing with his sons, and we, interact with them, and then they said that they were starting this, and so, I got money from somewhere to get my 2 discs, like you, Yellow, that's right, to be 83.
83. So
But I was born in Mexico, and I lived in Los Angeles up until last year when I moved near Susie and Altadena.
Altadena rocks.
right on. Okay, so that's and that's really, that just in itself is really good information for everybody because you got, like, you stayed in the same spot the whole time, right? And did you tell where you were? No, yeah, go ahead. Let's hear.
Sheryl Payne, back in those days, and I started playing when I met my husband. That's all he would do was throw frisbees around. So
And where was that? Where were y'all?
in Seattle.
Oh, okay, Seattle, all right.
So a different corner of the country. And there was a good group of people there, a lot of freestylers and stuff. So we started playing on campus at the University of Washington, and we'd play frisbee golf, we called it then. And we just used object course, in between classes, that light post, that garbage
So
can.
it wasn't even like that. It was just pick it as you go. That's the way
It's a big campus.
I learned
so-
that way in my neighborhood when I grew up with the master, and like, oh, Billy's mailbox, part 4, and all of us were off and running.
And then in so that was 1973 when I met Doug. So that's when I started to play. And I, like Michelle.
There's another one.
I had the Black Master too. I totally had the Black Master.
In the pro, the super pro,
Yeah,
freestylers, and if you want a little, and then the master, that was it.
Yeah.
Three
that's
balls.
what.
Wow, they're all graduating in size and everything.
Yes.
What was the weight of the pro?
What's that?
97.
97?
97.
I think that.
This is
I'd say 100.
Is that 22?
yeah.
Because they came
Right.
out with the 97 later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the 97 grams was different.
Was a small,
That's the 22 mil.
With the computer.
yeah.
The cupula, okay.
We have all the terms, we know what they are.
Okay, so I was talking to
Yeah.
Susie about this earlier and like, so I'm gonna throw a Kevin McCoy reference out there. I don't know if y'all know Kevin or Courtney McCoy, but
Yeah.
Kevin was the local big dog in Tulsa for a long, long time. And when he putted Discraft, he used these green magnets and he called them the pickle. And so like he kind of was, I don't know for sure exactly how this went down, but to me, I figured that like he was probably one of the people that was privy to the new discs when they came in. And so he grabbed all the pickles and kept them for himself for his spares or whatnot. And so it became like the kind of the premium, like guys around Tulsa wanted pickles, you know, because Kevin was killing them with the pickles. So that's just one form of slang. So if you know, if you've got some slang stories and like the cupule or any different other things, like how this.
The rings of Hendrix.
The rings of Hendrix, see, that's a really good reference. She talked about those a little bit ago.
A master. Now, the master was the frisbee that had a label on the bottom too. And the top.
Dave,
Yeah.
put his own.
Yeah, it was a registration.
Number.
Oh, nice.
And if you lost it, you could send it back to Whammo and they'd send it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really?
right.
That didn't last long.
Yeah.
Well,
Mine's not too.
So,
well, you know, the stork may know,
He's the one who told me that.
okay.
but he doesn't know.
He doesn't, I don't think anybody ever
Oh,
turned it in.
This.
well, let's send one in just.
Association. And so.
It's on a
you
roof
probably
somewhere.
would
I'm gonna resurrect that program.
75 to 76, in order to go to the Rose Bowl without an invitation in 1975, that you were in attendance, Dave was there, Jim Palmieri was there, Doug Korea, but you had to have passed your master's test.
Right.
And that's how he got the sticker, is that he is now a Frisbee master
Right.
with the IFA number. And so you had to have, his test was administered on location in Southern California when they arrived. They drove cross country, Jeff Hungerford.
Just to do the test.
Just to do what? Just to participate. If they pass the test, they can get into the Rose Bowl
Oh,
at your own expense.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many were invited with expenses covered. But so they all attended and played in 75. Now comes 76, and now it is
So 1 year
Invitation.
previous, you had to qualify in those, in that situation.
by your skills. It was a skills
So,
test.
yeah, so what are the details on that? I mean, what were the skills and how many?
It was left curve, right curve,
Seconds, MTA.
side, hips.
was there any accuracy in the hoops?
Distance though.
There was
Distance?
some accuracy for different stages, but I saw there were also
It's
throws.
Cheryl.
So there was arcing throws right and left, but it was also
Yeah.
sidearms.
This one.
Sidearms both sides. Back on both sides.
He did
Like
mine.
arcing on this one.
Right.
So this is-
World class master was higher.
It's
Yeah, you got a pair of sweat.
That's good.
Yeah, world class.
Frisbee.
So I'm a class master at couch surfing. I've spent more time, like, so I toured from my age 30 to 40, which was basically 99 to 08. And I was gone 6 months out of the year for 10 years.
Wow.
And I bet I bought a hotel room less than 5% of that time.
Yeah.
And so,
We traveled in the back of a station wagon. Well, traveled with people, but then put out foam piece in the back of the station wagon, or we would find camping.
And so some of us went in great.
Oh,
trade.
you know, great.
Well, being in college, I didn't have a lot of money, so, because I paid my own way through college. So, there was the big first North American Series event of the year was in LA, right, Tita? I think Santa Barbara was second tournament. And so it was LA and I didn't have any money to go, so Ralph and Doug and all the normal people went and I left me at home. And Pete Foost was there, you remember Pete?
Oh,
He's a disc golfer. Pete said, Cheryl, if I find a free way to go, will you go with me? And I said, sure. it's gotta be free. So, I forgot about it and I was at work. I come home late at night and there's Pete's car in my driveway and I go, oh no.
Forgot about it.
He got a free way to go. And so I walk in the house gingerly and he goes, hey, we're gonna hop a freight train tonight.
Yes.
And I go, really? I go, my friends had done it this year before and I went,
Did we go to the same event?
well, made hammocks for them all so they could hang them in the freight train. And I didn't have an extra, so I didn't bring one. So I said, okay, let me call my boss and tell him I'm not coming to work. And so we went and we hopped a freight train from Seattle to the tournament. We got to the tournament a little bit late. Everybody had started, so we couldn't enter, but we didn't care because we had so much fun. And we were all dirty and, we had stories and, there was my husband. Well, we weren't married at the time, but there's Doug looking at me like, you
What
did what?
the hell is going on here?
It was so fun. We were in this open box car and all day it's like IMAX theater going
Yeah.
by.
Right?
And so we would play with the Frisbee. We'd get at each end and we'd try and get as close to the door without going out and skipping it to the other person. And we did that. We'd get further away, then closer, and we never lost a disc.
I was gonna say, how many spares did you have?
We were so good. And we just did that all day. And that was fun.
It's a good
But
thing they
yeah.
didn't let you play because you would have whooped everybody after working those kind of skills all the way through.
Yeah, so after that, for I don't know how many years, I was known as Boxcar Mama.
Awesome. Oh, that's great.
My story is on a return trip from a Frisbee tournament in Boulder, Colorado, which we went to for the weekend, mind you. Leave on Thursday, drive all Thursday night, arrive on Friday, do the tournament, practice Friday afternoon, tournament Saturday, Sunday, Monday, it's time to leave. Usually we would stay at the dorms.
Are you coming from Rochester to Colorado?
New York.
Okay.
So this is 76 or 77. I think 77, because I think we were.
close to you.
Okay, so we have to leave, but Jim Palmieri drove his van. We did so many miles in that van to the different tournaments. That's when we took up to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan for my first tournament. Now we're going out to Colorado, but we took our own car, which is an old junker Ford Torino wagon. And so we had Doug Correa and one other person, and Jim had maybe four people. 10 the tournament, Jim has to fly home on Friday or Monday. He's got to get home. He leaves the van keys to Doug Correa. Says, just drive it home, see you when you get there. So we take off from, it had to have been at night because one of our first stops was Cozad, Nebraska. And we're ready for gas, and you just do round the clock driving. You just take a shift. So I'm gearing up for my 2 a.m. graveyard shift. 2 a.m. We're getting to this place. We can't get gas, but I already taken my no-dose and tab. So I'm ready to go from 2 to 6 a.m.
That was a totally artificial beverage.
And so Jim, whoever was driving, Doug, they stop at we're hoping to get gas, but there is no gas. So we're realizing, okay, we're going nowhere. We're camping out here. It's too late for me. I had a great job. So long story short, the car would not start because the transmission went. So the next morning, being at this little gas station, when it was a VW van, when the gas attendant came and went to the front of the bus to open the hood, they said, no, don't look any further because the engine's in the back. So they knew he doesn't even know what Volkswagens are, how they're made. So long story short, towed with our Ford Torino wagon, towed Jim's van to the next biggest town, Lincoln, Nebraska. Found a VW dealer, left the van there, and now Doug Correa and whoever 3 people in that car coming with the 3 or 4 people in our car. So we had 7 or 8 adults and a dog in a Ford Torino wagon. Rented a U-Haul hitch for just the luggage, everybody's gear, and then continued that trip to Chicago, Illinois, dropped off Marie Murphy and Bruce Kroger. And then we continued on home to Rochester. So that was the one road trip that comes back with not so fond memories, but we made it home with.
Well,
Palmieri never did get his van back. He couldn't afford the repairs. He couldn't get out there. And Jim, sweetheart.
What a great story, though. Is it time to get started over there, Tita? All right, folks. Well, this is what we got for now. This is all laying groundwork. I got scripts for all of them that I'm going to send them home with. And the next time we talk to them, it'll be next year, and we'll have a full episode for each one of them. And just imagine, I mean, think about the stories we just told right now. Tita, you missed the boxcar Willie story. I know you know it, but I mean, like that's
Didn't hear it. Yeah.
and again, I just want to thank each one of you for allowing me to come and be a part of your afternoon. And I wish that more of you could come to Rock Hill and see the Throw Pink and the USCGC, but you can tune in and check that out. And we'll be broadcasting Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for at least 4, maybe 6 hours. Aside from, like, we're not at all trying to upstage anything that's going on already. We're trying to add to it. So if you're watching the broadcast, you might want to open another window with our show and see what we're doing and who we're talking to. And we might comment on a few shots or different things, or anything that's outstandingly amazing or whatever, or any great stories like the I took a freight train to Southern California. That's the greatest.
Well, the very first time ESPN ever filmed any sports was in Seattle at our women's DVC game.
Really?
And
That's
And-
another bit of
thing, and it was so funny because I went over, because I go, who are you guys? Why are you here? You didn't ask permission or anything. And they said, well, we're with this company called ESPN. And we're like, well, what's that? It was, we never heard of it. We're going to be a 24-hour news channel of sports, or, and we're like, who's going to watch that? And now they have 4 channels.
All right, folks, thanks again for stopping by. And ladies, thank you for your time. And I look forward to hearing more of these great stories from all of you.
Thank you.
All right, that'll do it for now, folks. Thank you.
Yeah, so.
So where's our script?
Sherry.